should probably read that proclamation because I think they're here today, aren't they? The YIMBY folks? Or do you think I need to read it? Or we're going to do it. Well, we're not going to read the proclamation out there because we don't have it. So. Okay, let me. So I'll look for the roll call from my clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have all members of council in attendance, with the exception of Councillor Prost, who sent her regrets, and alternate Councillor Catherine McDonald in attendance, and you have your quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, and please forgive my voice. I'm not contagious, but I am struggling with my voice today. So hopefully it'll make the entire meeting. It'll be a short one, right? The waste management, shouldn't be any discussion. We'll be in and out in no time. So with that, does anybody have to leave early today? Okay, Deputy Warden.
11:30, Your Worship.
Okay, Councillor Hamlin.
About 11:20.
11:20. Councillor McDonald.
12:30.
12:30. Not seeing any more. Okay, we'll keep an eye on our quorum then. So I'll look for the approval of the agenda. Councillor Dolan.
Thank you, Worship. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Bell that the agenda for the May 28th, 2024 meeting of County Council be approved.
Everybody's heard the motion. Any question on the agenda? All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Do I have a disclosure of pecuniary interest by any member of council? If so, or you find yourself in that situation, please declare it at that time. So we've got presentations and deputations, and yes, we do. We have our paramedic for the day, and this past week, May 19th to 25th, was National Paramedic Services Week, a time to reflect on and celebrate the dedication and resilience of our exceptional and first responders that serve our communities. Listen, anybody, all the comments I get, I have never once received a negative comment. They're always positive on our first responders. We have an excellent crew we should all be very proud of. On behalf of my fellow councillors and residents, I just want to thank you and thank the paramedic services and everyone that took part. And before I invite Jane St. Clair up for our paramedic for the week, I also want to thank Deputy Warden Coughlin and County Councillor Barry Norris and James Leduc, along with the town of Bradford West Gwillimbury, for being there for the grand opening of the new paramedic station in Bradford. I was really looking forward to that. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make it, but that was a great news story, and very proud of that, and I hope the day went well.
All right. It absolutely did, sir, and we thank you very much, and thank you to Deputy Warden Coughlin also, and we know you were busy, but it was an excellent opening for us, and we thank Jane and her team.
Thank you. So now I'll invite Jane St. Clair up and Sarah Mills.
Good morning, everyone. As the warden noted, last week we celebrated National Paramedic Services Week. This year, the Paramedic Chiefs of Canada selected the theme, Help Us, Help You. This gave our County of Simcoe Paramedic Services team an opportunity to recognize their incredible staff while also educating the public on the many innovative programs and services that they provide. This group goes beyond emergency medical response. They offer community paramedicine support to those with ongoing medical needs, improving their quality of life and well-being, while also reducing emergency room visits. They also offer rapid response units, response to calls, providing paramedic level care, and beginning treatment of patients prior to arrival of the transport ambulance. This is just a glimpse of the work of our incredible staff do day in and day out. From our frontline primary care and advanced care paramedics to our logistics and fleet crew, I'm tremendously proud of each and every one of them. I'd now like to invite Sarah Mills, your Director-in-Chief of Paramedic Services, to come forward to present our Paramedic for a Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship, and General Manager Sinclair. This year, we once again hosted our Paramedic for a Day contest, where grade 5 and 6 students from across the county were asked to write a brief essay highlighting what the theme, Help Us, Help You, meant to them. I'm very pleased to introduce this year's winner, Ella Masson, Honor Guard Escort in our junior paramedic. Ella is a grade 6 student from Monsignor Clare Catholic Elementary School here in Barrie. And with Ella's permission, I'd like to read her essay. You can't say no, I'm doing it. When you call 911, you can help by having your health card, medications, and your vial of life ready for the paramedics. You should also have your door unlocked and vehicles moved out of your driveway. If you call during the winter, you should have your porch shoveled, and if it's icy, you should put some salt or sand down for a safe and easy entrance. If you have any pets or animals, lock them away in a safe place so they do not escape or get in the way of paramedics. If you're going to go to the hospital, make sure you have some clean clothes, your cell phone, and a charger. Paramedics enjoy snacks, so if you have time, please put out some milk and cookies. My joke was, what are we, Santa? And thank you for all that you do every day. So thank you for that lovely essay, Ella. So congratulations, and thank you for capturing the theme of Help Us, Help You so wonderfully. I'd like to invite General Manager Sinclair and Warden Clark to the front for a photo.
You want us right up front?
Oh, right up front. We're all crammed. Last Tuesday, a paramedic crew picked up Ella from her school and transported her to the hub, where Deputy Warden Coughlin, General Manager Sinclair, and representatives from the Honor Guard and senior CSPS staff swore her in for service. She then took part in a mock scenario and was presented with her very own first aid kit and stethoscope. Once again, thank you, Ella, and thank you for all of your efforts in your essay and doing our paramedic for a day. Honor Guard, please escort junior paramedic to her duties.
Honor Guard. Whip. Mark.
And I just wanted to take a moment to thank you all for allowing us to join you today to provide you this update on our Paramedic for a Day and helping us celebrate Paramedic Services Week.
You've got a sore throat, maybe you want to pay the piper?
It's a long-standing tradition here in Simcoe County that we must pay the piper with a nice shot of scotch after we perform. Come on up, sir. And they tell me it's going to help my voice. So. Thank you for your services, sir. One of the benefits of the job. Okay, so we'll move on with our, what are we up to now? Our consent agenda. So I will look to Councillor Burkett.
Through you, your worship, moved by myself, second by Councillor Norcross, that the council communications and proclamations May the 14th to May 27th, 2024, having given due consideration, be received.
And there is a proclamation, and we are doing a flag raising today, so I will read the proclamation now. And Deputy Warden will help me out when we get out front for the flag raising, because I'm afraid to try and talk without my microphone today. So, whereas May 27th to 31st, 2024 is recognized across the region to celebrate and encourage the Yes in My Backyard movement and increase efforts to build awareness, and whereas County of Simcoe is committed to building up our communities and residents as a designated social and community services manager and administrator for the region. And whereas societies where everyone can participate and contribute to their community are more stable, resilient, prosperous, happy, and healthier. Whereas ending homelessness is a complex problem and can only be solved through collaborative and innovative partnerships, commitment, leadership, and supportive, engaged citizens. And whereas YIMBY Week is an opportunity to build up communities by raising awareness and support for affordable and attainable housing. Therefore, I, Warden Basil Clark, on behalf of the County of Simcoe, do hereby proclaim May 27th to 31st, 2024 as Yes in My Backyard Week in the County of Simcoe, and encourage all citizens to think about steps they can collectively take to ensure affordable and attainable housing is welcome and encouraged in our communities across the region. So thank you. And on that motion of the proclamations, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next, I have the adoption of the minutes and confirmation of the committee minutes. Deputy Warden.
Thank you, Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Locke, that the following council minutes be confirmed and adopted, and the Committee of the Whole reports be confirmed. County Council minutes, May 14th, 2024. Committee of the Whole report, May 14th, 2024, and Committee of the Whole confidential report, May 14th, 2024.
Any questions arising from the minutes? Councillor Measures.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. I would like to ask that we pull from the Committee of the Whole recommendation item 10.1, which is the recommendation CCW 108-24 for discussion and perhaps redirection.
So we could do that when we do the committee, would we, Jonathan? This is the minutes. We're just wondering if you're fine with the minutes the way they're written?
That would be fine.
Okay.
I'm just concerned that we make sure that we do that before minutes are approved, but that's fine with you.
Yes, but it can be done afterwards, so okay. So on the minutes, then, all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And noted that we will be pulling that. So presentations and consideration of the Committee of the Whole report. I'll start with Chair Cox.
Good morning. Resolution moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Evans, that the performance management recommendations contained within the Committee of the Whole report dated May 14th, 2024 be approved, including the confidential item.
Anything on performance to be pulled? Not seeing any, so all in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next, I have Human Services. Chair Leduc.
Thank you, Warden. We're on to 9.2, Human Services. So that Human Services recommendation, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor McDonald, that Human Services recommendations contained within the Committee of Whole report dated May 14, 2024 be approved.
Any items to be pulled from Human Services? Not seeing any, so all in favor of the motion? That is carried. So now we'll do Chair Dolan, if you can read the motion, and then I think we have some items to pull.
Thank you, and I'd be looking for a seconder as my vice. I don't think we'll be wanting to second this motion. So Councillor Locke, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Locke, that the performance, that the corporate services recommendations contained within the Committee of the Whole report dated May 14th, 2024 be approved, including the confidential item.
Okay, item to be pulled. Councillor Measures.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Worship and Chair. I would like to pull item 10.1, which contains the recommendation CCW 108-24. If you'd like, I'd like to speak on that right now then, Your Worship.
First, I'll do the original motion on the floor. So is there any others to be pulled? So I don't. So now the resolution will now be that the corporate services recommendation contained within the Committee of the Whole report dated May 14, 2024 be approved, including the confidential item, with the exception of items 10.1, program to increase organics capture. So on the rest of the Committee of the Whole, any questions or comments? All in favor? That is carried. So if you want to go ahead, sir, and then I do have some suggestions in moving forward, but go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Again, this was well discussed at the committee, and it was frankly, a rather close vote. And I think that time has now passed such that there are some indecisions now across this council, and I think it gives an opportunity for members to debate this issue. I feel that it is a premature recommendation to bring forward the compost and garbage matching program that was suggested by the staff. Well, the staff should be commended for the program that they brought forward. I think it's a little premature at this time, given that the County of Simcoe residents have done a great job with waste management already, and I think we've shown that over and over and over again across our county. So I would be looking for a motion here to have this motion defeated, and I'd look for a seconder.
Okay, I'm seeing lots of seconders now. Yeah, we can't have a motion to defeat. We'd have to actually defeat the motion.
I understand,
yeah.
But that's what I'm looking for, is put it on the floor to have it discussed.
Yeah, so, because I guess there's three directions we can go here. We can defeat the motion and just be status quo, or we can proceed with the program, or we can proceed with an option for people to opt out, which is, I guess, our three options. So I guess I'd look for guidance. Can we amend the original motion to have options, or should we just vote on the motions the way they are, Jonathan, and see where the chips lie? Just vote is what I'm hearing. So I've got two separate motions, do I not? So the first one is, it was moved by Councillor Doug Measures and George Cabral. I'll read the motion. It's subject to the program being approved. Staff report back with further information and various options for an exemption program for the new organics program. So that amendment, I think you would probably still want to go through, would you not, Mr. Councillor Measures? In case the original motion passes, you would like that option?
For sure. The intention, if we recall the debate and how the meeting progressed, was to ask for exemptions, and then to have those exemptions available to us as a council before we made a decision if we're going to support the program. And as it moved out, we ended up having the third motion, which was 108-24, which basically created the program. And so it was a little bit of confusion there, but the idea of exemptions is very important if we were going to roll out this program. But overall, the message that I'm now hearing from residents of Simcoe County who have contacted me is that this program will not work in our rural communities, that's for sure. As I pointed out in our debate, I don't want to rehash that issue, but the backyard composters are a reality for a lot of our residents, and I think that we need to respect that and give people the benefit of the doubt that that's what they're actually doing. The question was put by our staff as to whether or not people were actually using their compost bins and perhaps not putting them out at all. I've had residents say to me that they've never put it out because they do completely, compost in their backyard. So I think we need to take another look at this. I think that it might be a little premature, and I think that this is time for this council to recognize that our citizens have been doing a good job already. Okay. So that's where it is. Now, as far as the exemption discussion, Councillor Cabral and I discussed that, and we were very thankful that this House did support it. Exemptions are an important part of it, and I think that we need to have that considered. Perhaps needs to be considered in the future. That's why I consider this to be premature.
All right. So on the motion, though, is that we do consider exemptions and get a report on that. So I just want to be clear on the actual motion that's on the floor right now. And then the second motion will come later. And I still support this motion that we look into exemptions. Councillor Burkett, Cox, and then Bell.
Thank you.
And Smith.
Through you, Your Worship. So yes. Just a question to General Manager Elliott. The province and the recycling and when that is going to actually happen, is that January of 2025?
Thought it was December. Rob?
Sorry, through you, Chair. Sorry, just for clarity, you're talking about the Blue Box transition?
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah, that's an unrelated matter. I don't know if maybe Council or Director McCullough might want to speak to the relationship.
Well, no, sorry, if I may, through your Worship, yes. It may be an unrelated matter today, but again, if the province at this stage doesn't know what they're going to do with the recycling, and now we're going to change how we pick up garbage through the composting pickup, we're going to again confuse our residents, and this is what I struggle with. We don't know where the province is at with the recycling, and now to add insult to injury, we're going to create, I think, a nightmare by not allowing garbage to be picked up if there's no green bin set out. Like, I'm just confused with if I'm confused, I'm sure our residents are going to be confused. We're going to add another layer of confusion to all this. Like, I think we should wait until we know what the province is actually going to do. And I commend staff, you and your staff, for what you've brought forward for a solution to this green bin, but it's not going to save our landfills as well. Like I heard Mr. McCullough say that if we move forward with this program, it isn't going to add any life to our landfills at all.
Okay, so great comments, but I think they belong when we vote on the actual motion. This one is for the option that if we go ahead with the new program, that we have options to report back on opting out. So that's what I want to try and keep the discussion around. If the program goes forward, that we consider options. That's what this motion is right now. So just on the options, I have Councillor Cox. Do you still have comments on the options, or were yours on the main on the options? Go ahead, Councillor Cox.
Yeah, through the chair. I'm just a little confused that we're voting on options when we haven't even voted on a program. So I was confused last meeting on it, and I still am. Would we not be saying we're going to do a program or we're not going to do a program, and then worry about if we're going to do options or not? Because how do you say we're going to have options if you haven't even voted on it? You're like, it's redundant, but I may be wrong. But it just, to me, it seems like we're coming in backwards.
I understand your concern, but the concern of the House, I think, at the last meeting was that if the program goes forward, they wanted to make sure there were options available. So that's kind of how it ended up this way. So I think next I had Councillor Bell. Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Yep. I think my only comment is if this does get passed, which I was opposed to, not this motion, but if they do come back with an exception, it needs to be simple. I'm not willing to support something where we're policing people's garbage and we're taking time, and it's costing us a lot for people to go out checking garbages, checking composters, and rubber stamping things to say that they have it in place. So that was my only comment, is if it is, it has to be very simple.
Okay, Councillor Brian Smith.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, my apologies, I was away for this initial discussion, but have been well versed on it with my deputy mayor and other members of council. And I'm sorry.
Your electrifying personality this morning.
Try that. Is that better? That's better. Okay. But you know, I always struggle to create any kind of rules, regulations, or make changes when the changes we are going to make are very possibly going to cause other issues that are going to be the same or even bigger. And I look at this and say, you know, we have the citizens of the county of Simcoe, I think, have come to the table with us on waste management many times, and the proof is in the pudding. We've been number 1, number 2 in waste diversion for many years, and that tells me that our citizens are engaged, they understand how important it is. But to simply tell taxpayers who are already paying for this service that if they don't put out their green bin, that we're not going to pick up their waste is problematic to me. And you know, when I look at municipalities, and there's many of them in this county, probably just about all of them, we have a lot of tourists, and tourists and cottagers already struggle somewhat to understand what the rules and regulations are around waste management. We drive through our communities any waste day and we can see that. And now that they are not going to perhaps understand to put out the green bin, whether it has anything in it or not, because that's what's going to happen. That's what we're saying. No matter what, you got to put the green bin. If the green bin's there, we pick up your garbage, and if it isn't, we don't. We're going to have many more issues here with garbage being strewn all over our communities, with rodents tearing garbages apart and creating other infestation issues.
I look at this and say, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I commend staff, because staff here at the county have done an amazing job on waste diversion. There's no doubt about that. But I remember having these types of conversations 6 years ago when we were going to start auditing people's garbage, and we had speakers come and speak to this about it, and I felt the same way then as I feel today. When we look at what people are doing today, people who live in municipalities, for example, that have sewer and water services, many of them have carburetors. A lot of that is going through the carburetor, and it's not going to go in their green bin. And the carburetors nowadays will take everything up to chicken bones. And so I'm really struggling with this, and I think if I understand my friend Mr. Measures correctly, I think what we're looking for here is to defeat this and have it come back, I think, in its entirety with another solution. To Councillor Cox's, Chair Cox's point here, how do we ask for options if we don't even know if we're going to do it or we don't do it? My suggestion today, and I would be more than happy to second Mayor Measures, Councillor Measures' motion, is that this motion be defeated and we do some more thinking on this and bring it back to council at a later date. I think it's premature, and I think, quite frankly, it's unfair to residents at this point in the game. Thank you.
Councillor Dolan.
Thank you. So on the motion that's on the floor, which is the exemption, I support the exemption. I support the thought of voting on it first, because I believe it was a member on the floor who suggested that if there wasn't an exemption, they would vote against the program as a whole. If there was an exemption, they could support the program as a whole. So that's why it came first. The reason I support the exemption is because I've had some great telephone calls with residents this week, all that are avid composters, which I absolutely admire anybody who does that work. But it was also an opportunity to talk to them about things that they cannot compost: hair, paper towels, Kleenex, bacon grease in a Tim Hortons cup, greasy pizza pans or pizza boxes. All of those things can go in your green bin, but many people, larger bones, can't go down a carburetor. All of those things are things that you can put in your green bin that you can't compost. So I support the motion for the exemptions, and anybody, I also believe that we shouldn't be policing with clear plastic bags, but I think we should be letting people know exactly what they can put in their green post, which they can't put in their compost, because everyone I've talked to this week, when I've told them that, they've supported the program. Thank you.
Okay, I've got Councillor Laux.
Thank you to the chair. Just my 2 cents on this whole thing. I believe that we need to focus on education, because once again, also I've spoken with residents, and I believe the biggest thing is confusion. They hear that we're doing a soft start and then a hardcore December. You don't put your green bin out, you're not getting your garbage picked up. I believe the focus should be we revisit this program, and the focus should be on education so people understand truly what's going on. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Leduc.
So I'm a little bit confused on what we're doing here, because it's a defeat, not an exemption. I don't remember you putting a motion on the floor for exemption program. I think you put a motion on the floor for defeat. I don't know if we had a seconder at the time, but Your Worship, I'm not sure why we're talking about an exemption program when I didn't hear that motion hit the floor. The first one was carried. If you go back and you look at this program, there was a subject to the program staff report. It was carried. Then it was, well, if we approve the program, that was defeated. We're on to the main motion. There's only one main motion. It's written based on the report. So to me, it's defeat. Defeat this program or not. It's not the exemption program. I don't remember him putting that on the floor. So I'd like to see who's putting that motion on the floor, because I need clarity on what motion we're actually dealing with, because it wasn't an exemption that I heard from Councillor Measures.
Councillor Measures.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Leduc, and thank you, Your Worship. We're in County Council. I interrupted the discussion about the minutes, and I clearly stated CCW 108-24. That's the only motion that I'm asking for us to review.
Oh, okay.
And the discussion, I appreciate you bringing it up, and I acknowledge that you brought it up in regards to the exemption program. You're right, an exemption program did pass at the county committee level. So we did have that discussion. And then there was a motion that was defeated in regards to application process. And then we did the main motion of 108-24. I'm asking for this House to reconsider CCW 108-24 to be clear, and it would be my hope that we can present the motion as is, and I would ask this House to defeat it. From that, I think this House could also give further direction to staff to go back and think about this again, and perhaps come up with a program later on that could be worked out, and also speak to some of the issues that some of the councillors have brought up, particularly about policing our waste. Hopefully that helps, Your Worship.
All right. I'll defer to my clerk, Jonathan.
So item 10.1 from Committee of the Whole was pulled, program to increase organics capture. We have two recommendations from Committee of the Whole coming forward. The first, that subject to the program being approved, staff report back. And then the second was specific to the entire program itself. You can deal, Warden, in whatever order you'd like. If you'd like to deal with the main motion, the direction for staff to report back can come after. But as was raised, I think some members at Committee of the Whole wanted to deal with the staff report back should the program be approved first. So, certainly in your hands to decide in what order you'd like to take it.
Listening to the discussion today, what I would suggest the council do is we pass the motion looking for alternates or exemptions and maybe defer the main motion until we see those options come back. That to me seems like something I think we can all agree on, because I know we're trying to find direction. So my advice would be pass the first motion of one we're discussing, which is for the exemptions, for those options to come forward. I do know it says in the motion that should the other program go ahead, but I don't think that's a problem. Staff understands we want to see the options, and why don't we just defer the main motion until those options come back? That would be my advice. So I'll go to Councillor Snell and then a few others. If we can go that direction, that's the direction I would like to go. I think that's something that we can all work with. A lot of hands on this. So Councillor Snell, go ahead.
Thank you, Warden. I would support that process. I think that really makes sense. I agree with the cart and the horse. It's feeling a little bit backwards. I also received some feedback from one of our residents that is a senior who has an adult disabled son who lives there, and she supports the program, however asked, would we consider not including the winter months, as physically she's unable to do this program or participate. So I think there's some opportunity to kind of for staff to be able to look and consider all these pieces and maybe massage other options. Okay. Thank you.
I'm trying to find a smooth way forward, sir. Councillor Gordon, comments on maybe my suggestions, and then we can move forward.
Thank you. And actually, my comments were around so much this one, but since we're going to be talking about deferring it, and my understanding of deferrals is that basically it's boomerang. It's the exact same document that comes back to us unless we give new instructions. I wanted to ask a question that hadn't occurred to me at the time that we had our last discussion around this. Given the fact that we are going to be out of the recycling business when that happens, does it really make sense to send the trucks around every 2 weeks just to pick up organics when they used to pick up organics and recycling in tandem? We talk about impact on the planet, wear and tear on the vehicle, the cost of labor and staffing and the contract costs. Has staff considered maybe just going to bi-weekly collection in tandem with garbage for the organics rather than rolling the trucks just to pick up the little organics bin all over the county? So that's something we hadn't discussed, and it hadn't really occurred to me at the time. It actually occurred to my wife because she hit me up at dinner going, well, this makes no sense. And I'm like, oh, geez, you're absolutely right. So props to her. But I'm just wondering, had staff considered that? And is there any, if they hadn't, is it something we should be thinking about? Because it could make material cost differences to our service delivery and, have the impact on the environment of not rolling these big rigs around our county solely for the purpose of collecting the organics. Just throwing it out there, because if we were going to send this thing back for a rethink, if we're going to put some new parameters on it, now I guess now would be the time to throw them on the table.
So good comments on that when it comes back. So if everybody kind of agrees with what I'm saying, then we would get the report back and then we would deal with the main motion. Councillor Cox.
I don't agree. I'm sorry. I think the main motion should be coming forward. That's what everybody's been speaking to. The exception one, they spoke a bit to, but mainly I'm hearing from people is this program is too hardcore at the beginning. We need to come up with a more soft support for it and to get people more educated. As Councillor Dolan has said and everyone else, everyone thinks that everyone's educated and they're not. So I think that recommendation CCW 10824, the main one, needs to come forward, because if we're not going to do it and we start deferring and then it comes back and now we've got the new program coming in, we are right now in the middle of a tornado of everyone not really clear what's going on. So either we're going to have it or we're not going to have it.
Councillor Burkett.
Thank you, through your worship. So I'm totally confused, as is everyone in the back row here. You want us to vote on some options when we haven't even passed the first motion, whether or not we're going to move forward with picking up.
Actually, if I can clarify, I want us to vote that we get a staff report on options and defer the other one until we see the options. And that way we can decide, do we like the options, do the options work, or we just defeat the whole thing at that time. So that's what I'm proposing. We send staff off to bring the options first. And then we look at the options, and then we either add them or not. Councillor Burkett.
Thank you. Supplementary, if I may, through you. So that's great, but to Councillor Gordon's comments, we still have the recycling that the province can't make a decision on. So this House now is going to make a decision on whether or not we pick up the garbage based on the green bin, and then next year we're going to come forward with a recycling program that we don't know anything about. So again, we're in a tailspin. Next year, not sure where we're going. So just my comments.
Thank you. Councillor Brian Smith, and then I got Councillor Sandu and Deputy Warden. So you use the other mic, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. I'm confused here. I'm struggling because I think, Councillor Measures pulled this, and I think he was clear that he pulled it to be voted on, and he's hoping that the House will defeat it. And therefore, I think procedurally, and I'm looking to our clerk, if that's what he's asking, then I think we need to deal with that. That's what's on the floor today, or right now. That's what he's put forth. And so if this gets defeated, then there's no doubt staff are going to, with some direction, the staff are going to have to give us options and come back to us anyway. So I think it is waste management, so we like to beat it to death as many times as we can, and here we are again in waste management beating this to death. I think, and I'm looking to my colleague, if he's asked that this be put on the floor, the question be brought forward, and he's hoping and asking this House to defeat it, then I think that's what we need to deal with. If it doesn't get defeated, we move forward and we say, okay, what are the options? If it gets defeated, no doubt then Council is going to be asking staff, was what I'm hearing here, to come back with other solutions so that we can look at that moving forward. So I think we just need to call the question, quite frankly. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to go to Director Elliott. Did you have some concerns you wanted to address, and then?
Thank you, through the chair. It might be a moot point at this point, but I thought maybe Director McCullough could speak to some of the confusion around the blue box transition. There is clarity on what that looks like for residents. And no, we will not be sending around trucks just to pick up organics. We will continue to utilize the split truck, but perhaps Director McCullough can elaborate on that a little bit further.
Thank you, and through you, Your Worship. The provincial government has been very clear on recycling blue box. We're not waiting to make a decision. We're waiting in hopes that they change their mind on the IC&I portion of the collectability of residential quantities. They've been quite clear. We have transitioned. We transitioned January 1st of this year. Full transition will happen January 1st, 2026, when we will no longer be in charge of collecting curbside recycling. The provincial program will start then. At the same frequency and the same collection method, and staff are working very hard to ensure that that transition goes smoothly, but will essentially only add additional recyclable materials. The portion that we're hoping the province will rethink and reconsider is providing that same service to the small IC&I collections that generate at residential quantities. With respect to collecting organics every other week, certainly that's something that we've considered. We would not recommend it. We can do more research on it, but the material that's in organics is highly putrescible. It breaks down quickly. It has the potential to generate odors. No matter which container you put it in, it's more obvious in the organics, and it can add to what we call the ick or the yuck factor if that material sits around for up to 2 weeks, and could actually reduce the amount of organics we would see being diverted, as some residents may encounter that yuck factor. And while it still happens in their garbage, it's in a black plastic non-see-through bag, and they believe it doesn't happen. So my off the top of my head recommendation as staff is I think we need to continue to do weekly organics collection to remove that yuck factor. We can certainly look at that if so directed, and look at what the cost differential would be. We would have on that second week having county trucks going out, county contracted trucks going out and picking up that material, but they would be picking up from half the county that material only, would make the logistics easier in that the whole truck would then be used for that organics collection. Hope that clarifies. If I've missed anything, I'm happy to take additional.
I have a lot of hands, so here's what I'm going to do. Everybody's still talking on the main motion. The pressure seems to be we need to vote on it first. So with permission from Measures and Cabral, who moved the amendment, can I withdraw it and deal with the main motion then? Do we go ahead with the program? Do I have your permission to withdraw the amendment?
Your Worship, I have asked a couple times now for only CCW 108-24. As far as amendments go, it says that it'll die on the floor. That may be the case. I think that our staff are intuitive enough to know that they need to bring back another report. Council does have the opportunity to give direction to staff to bring back another report at another time, so we can face this beast again if necessary. But I'm asking for us to bring a halt to this discussion at this time, so that our residents in November and December will not be going through a nightmare of change in this waste management program. Sir, that's what I'm asking for, 108-24, for us to vote on that motion.
Okay, so I will withdraw the first one. We're going on the main motion, 108.24. Mover and a seconder. It was moved by the Deputy Warden Coghlan originally at the meeting, and seconded by Councillor Laux. Will you move the motion to put it on the floor? Okay, so, and it's going to come up on screen so everybody knows we're voting on the main motion. I'll get it up on screen, then I'll go to you, Councillor Raj. Or Sanju, sorry.
Your Worship, if I can, before we go that, I didn't hear any amendment. This is basically a motion to reconsider the motion that was carried. So what I need to hear from the clerk is, what does our procedural bylaw say about reconsidering a motion that was already passed? There's no amendment here.
No,
it's
so
being asked.
What he's asking us to do is defeat the motion. That's what Councillor
So
Measures is
it's a
asking.
reconsideration.
It's a defeat. He wants us to vote against this motion. That's why he pulled it. Yes.
Your Worship, we're in County Council.
It's only past Committee of the Whole. This is Council now, so it's coming from Committee of the Whole, and he wants to see this motion defeated.
Okay, thank you.
Clear? Okay. Deputy Warden, I had you, and then Councillor McDonald next. So Deputy Warden Coghlan.
My apologies. I was just trying to provide clarity. I need you to repeat the question. My apologies.
Oh, you had your hand up before.
Oh, I was just going to actually, before it was just to echo what Councillor Smith has said.
Okay, Councillor McDonald. This is on the main motion now that's on the screen.
Sorry, thank you, through the Worship. I'm just going to leave it for now because, but just for a side one, if this gets defeated or doesn't get defeated and we're still wanting to go back to staff, unless all of us here at County Council give what we want to have done to staff, we will come back here time and time again, because each meeting we will ask another question that brings the whole thing. So I think that what we best to do, which regardless of which way it goes for staff, that we actually send in all our requests for for what we want done, or what they can look and see, because otherwise we're going to be still going in a circle. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. So my concern here is I'm looking to your original point and looking at a referral back to staff on the entirety of the report. Because I think the issue is, in this room is what I've heard, is we still want to deal with this. So I don't think a defeat is warranted. I think the option is here, let's take a second look at it. So I would suggest doing a referral on this topic, have it come back to staff, and they can bring it back to council, because that gives clear direction to staff then to come back to council and committee with their recommendations. If we defeat this, then there would have to be a secondary motion to have staff come back again. So I think the referral would be a better option.
If that's moved, does that take precedent over the main? So if you have a seconder, that will take precedent over. Yeah.
I'll move that.
That we refer it back to staff until we get the report on options for exemptions? Is that what you're?
They can. I would suggest that it's an option for staff to review the report, thoughts of council, come back with an updated report.
Clear enough, Jonathan? We need a seconder, which I have with Councillor Fowler. So this is on the referral back, and it'll come forward with options based on the conversations we've heard today and emails, suggestions that council wants to send in to staff. The whole matter, the options, everything, the whole matter is going to be referred back, and it'll come forward. When it comes forward, it'll have options. It'll have. And we can deal with it at that time. So that's the motion. Is there any discussion on a referral? There can be a discussion of any comments on the referral. Okay, I'm not. Oh, yes, Councillor Leduc.
Just one last comment. I didn't support this in the beginning, and I will continue not to support it again. I want it defeated, so I'll not support the referral. Thanks.
All right. So I'm seeing no hands. All in favor of the referral back to staff? 1, 2. Okay, yeses only, just to make it easier for me to, okay, Jonathan? All opposed now. It's defeated. The referral is defeated. Back to the main motion then. We've had a great discussion on it. I'm going to call the question. So on the main motion, we'll get it back on screen. Mover and seconder is okay with at least putting it on the floor. Okay. All in favor? I think this will be a quicker count. All opposed? Defeated. Thank you, Council. We will. Yep. It's moved. Yep. All right. So here's the thing. The motion to report back is moot at this point because that motion said report back only if the motion was carried. If you would like staff to bring a motion, like to bring a report back on options, then I would need a mover and a seconder to go that direction because the original one is now moot. So for options to come forward that we can look at is what we're looking. Councillor Cox.
Well, I was just going to move that.
Yeah, you'll move that?
Okay, yes.
Second by Councillor Snell. So this is to bring the report back on options. If everybody's clear, all in favor? Okay, opposed? That is carried. Thank you. So we will move on. So presentations and considerations of special reports, I have none. County officers' reports, I have none. Motions of which notices been given, I have none. And notices of motions, I have none. Closed session, we have none. Folks, I can't yell over you, unfortunately, so I'll need you to give me a break here. Consideration of bills, Councillor Norcross.
Sorry, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Burkett. That bill's number 7077-24 and 7078-24 be enacted as bylaws of the County of Simcoe.
On the bylaws, all in favor? That is carried. Announcements. Okay, we do have a flag raising immediately following the council meeting, and I'm not sure is it if we're outside or inside, depending on what the weather's doing when we step out the door. Councillor Measures on announcements.
Yeah, just a quick announcement. I'd look to the Mayor of Collingwood and the Deputy Mayor of Collingwood if they were going to announce it, but I'll tell you what, I'll jump in on your behalf to congratulate the Collingwood Blues on winning the Centennial Cup, a national championship right here in Simcoe County. Good for them.
Councillor Fryer.
Thank you, Warden. And first off, thank you to Councillor Measures for bringing that up. It certainly is a substantial achievement. They had gone to the Canadians last year and come up short, and the team just said that wasn't good enough, and they wanted to take it forward. So congratulations to them and to the Steels, who are the owners of the team. Collingwood is very, very proud of their achievement. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Gordon.
Thank you. Just a reminder, it's 10 days to the sweetest day of the year, which is Midland's Ontario's best buttered tart festival, which happens to live in Midland. That's on Saturday, June 8th. For those of you who have yet to experience it, it's truly amazing. We had 50 to 60,000 people in town for that day, and hundreds of thousands of butter tarts, all kinds of neat activities and music and judging that goes on, everything from wild style, freaky, strange butter tarts with things that you'd never imagine belong in a butter tart, right on down to the traditional ones, whether you are a raisin or no raisin person. It's a lot of fun. So I'd encourage anyone that has their calendar open on June 8th to come on over to Midland, join the mayhem. You don't have to try and park downtown. We have shuttle services available for many of our fringe parking lots that are all free parking, and come and join us for the sweetest day of the year. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got, I think, Councillor Duke and then Councillor Cox.
Thank you, Warden. And just to announce also, Bradford is hosting the 100th anniversary of the RCAF. We're having a day event on June 14th. We have a parade and a reception, and the Skyhawks are landing in Bradford on that day also, and we're going to have a flyover. So please join us if you can. We've invited most members of council, so please join us if you can to come to that event. It's on June 14th. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cox.
Well, I'm actually going to defer it to Councillor Smith because I think a very exciting, wonderful thing happened in his community this past week.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cox, for that. And yes, it was a very special event on Sunday. We had roughly 200 people turn up for the grand announcement and ribbon cutting of the first Royal Canadian Legion to open in 19 years in this area. And Wasaga Beach is very proud to announce that we now have Royal Canadian Legion branch number 645 in Wasaga Beach, which I think is great. I think legions are one of those very important aspects of every community, and we're looking to find them a temporary home right now, and then hopefully get them moved front and center on our main street at some point in the near future. This is a great way for Wasaga Beach not only to celebrate our veterans and those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice, but in Wasaga Beach we have a lot of current serving members that live in Wasaga Beach as well as veterans living there. So this is a great opportunity for them to have that place to tell those war stories and the stories of our heroes, and to have camaraderie and, of course, forge memories that will last a lifetime in Wasaga Beach. So we're proud of that, and we're very thankful. So thank you, Councillor Cox.
Okay, I think I have Councillor MacDonald.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just on behalf of Councillor Michael Smith and myself, we'd like to just let you know that our announcements, we had two announcements. It was historical milestones. We have funding for two elementary schools, one Catholic and one public school. So it was a great day to celebrate, and we'd like to also say thank you very much to Deputy Warden for coming out to join us on that day. Thank you very much. And it's not heard of to have two schools, so we will not be the king and queen of portables any longer, so we're very proud of that too. So thank you.
Good. Any other announcements? So as many of you know, I was in Japan with our economic development team. The first thing I have to say is we have an outstanding economic development team at this county. They had a great schedule laid out. We did get to Honda headquarters. I believe the meetings went very well with both Honda, F-Tech, and Pillington that we met with. Honda especially, we got there, they had the Canadian flag flying beside theirs, and they had a Simcoe County banner on a big screen the size of this wall. When we entered for that meeting. The meetings went fabulously well. They were very appreciative that we took the time to come to their headquarters and meet, as did the other companies. Minister Fideli was there. He was at the trade show, so we had some time with Minister Fideli, who also crashed one of our meetings when we were meeting with FTEC at the Canadian Embassy. He joined us, and they were very happy to see the big guy there, as they say. So the meetings went extremely well, and our economic development team we should be very, very proud of. Really energetic bunch that were meeting new contacts constantly the whole time we were there. So a report will be coming back to the Economic Development Committee. Please watch for it. So with that, if there's no other announcements, I would look for, I've lost my notes, I think it's motion to adjourn, is it not? Hang on. Confirmatory bylaw, Councillor Norcross, there we are.
Thanks, Your Worship. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lavoie, that bill number 7079-24 be enacted as a bylaw of the County of Simcoe. Thank you.
On that motion, all in favor? That is carried. And last, that we now adjourn at 9:59. Moved by Councillor Measures, second by Councillor Fowler. All in favor? That is carried, and we'll meet you out in the atrium for the flag raising.